Welcome back, everybody, to Caravan of Garbage, where we're making our way through a series of movies. Well, it's not a series, they're individual films.
That's right.
That failed on their own merit.
Absolutely.
But they have a vague thing in common, sort of.
You know it when you see it. This is the you know it when you see it series. It's sort of old, and some of them really are old, and some of them only look old. Some of them, like, the concept is kind of old.
All of them, though,
Yep.
you have to leave a like on.
That is true. That is the law.
And I guess the law that links this movie to Dick Tracy
is you also thought it was old. You said to me, hey, let's do a bunch of stuff based on all the old stuff. Dick Tracy, the 30s, The Phantom, the 30s. The Rocketeer, that's probably from the 30s. And I said, James, you fool. You absolute buffoon. That's right, I'm airing out a dirty laundry on this video. And I said, James, that's probably from the 80s or something.
Well, do you want to do a bit of backstory on The Rocketeer?
Well, look, I mean, you are not entirely wrong you were entirely wrong. I was being too merciful.
Yeah, I was going to say, because you've already aired quite a lot of dirty laundry.
Okay.
Literally also. You've bought me your washing as penance.
That's true. But look, by sheer coincidence, there were a bunch of, like, Rocketmen style adventures sort of from the 40s and 50s. The King of the Rocketmen, Commando Cody, who's the Rocket King of the Universe or something. Do you remember that one?
No.
Right. Well, anyway.
Because I'm not 100 years old, Mason. Jesus, this guy.
Wow, that's 100-year-old man erasure. So, a comic book writer and artist Dave Stevens was asked by the owners of the publishing company Pacific Comics, now defunct, to do some backup stories in one of their main comic books.
They said, David, we need some backup stories, David.
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 If you're not too busy, David, we're making 3D comics or something.
Oh, why?
Yeah, to drive the company into the ground.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Anyway, he came up with the concept of the Rocketeer, again, based on these kind of old Rocketmen style serials. And again, where I was going with this, to give you some credit, even though you're wrong and you're a fool and a buffoon.
Sure.
This has the absolute exact flavor of that. Like, it feels very authentic.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
You're talking specifically the comic, but also
the movie.
The movie, right. What I think's incredible about this is the cast, for one, okay? So often when we're watching, like, a period piece, we like to judge the casting or the characters by if they look like they could identify the specific portable music player that was popular at the time it was filmed.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense to everybody?
It absolutely does. You're watching Amsterdam and you're looking at these actors and you're like, do they know what an iPhone looks like?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Okay, so James, Christian Bale knows what an iPod looks like?
I would say not in that movie and also not in real life.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
John David Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
He grew up with Denzel Washington.
Yeah,
he had all the technology.
Yeah.
He probably had laser discs.
Yeah, that's right.
You know?
Margot Robbie?
Kind of a chameleon, you know? Even though she is Australian, I get lost in the roles that she does.
Yeah,
so I'm going to say she can pull off that look.
I think she knows what an iPod looks like, and she had like one of those pink finished.
You're thinking of Barbie.
It's Barbie, isn't it?
Is literally colouring your mind.
That's true. Anya Taylor-Joy.
I don't even know what she is. Where's she from? I don't know.
That's the chameleon in this cast.
Yeah, you're right.
Looks like she plays all her music off wax cylinders to this very day.
Absolutely. But what is it? Like haunting ghost noises or something?
Absolutely.
I don't know.
It's haunting ghost noises. It's like...
a creaking ship?
Yeah, like nymphs.
Sirens.
Like sirens singing their haunting song to get sailors to crash into a reef or whatever.
Unsettling laughter.
Yeah. Just doors closing in a weird way. Hey, send us your playlist, Anya Taylor-Joy. Send it to us.
And I feel like looking at this cast, even though a lot of them are very recognisable, is that nobody here knows what a Walkman is.
No, absolutely not.
It's the haircuts, it's the mustaches,
yes,
it's the aesthetic. And again, it's Alan Arkin and Timothy Dalton and Jennifer Connelly.
Alan Arkin doesn't know what a Walkman looks like now.
Well, I think he's dead.
Well, he definitely doesn't now?
Depends.
Yeah.
Depends what goes on in the afterlife.
I mean, as far as I know, they have Walkmans in heaven. It's those yellow sports Walkmans.
Oh, they would.
Yeah, they would. Absolutely. Yeah.
And look, he's not really like he didn't become like a leading man in the way that a lot of, guys from this era might have, but Cliff Secord, as played by Billy Campbell, I think he does a really good job. Like, initially they were going to go with some bigger names. But Joe Johnston, who I want to talk about as well, who directed this, he wanted somebody who more embodies the part physically and also in spirit. And the haircut, obviously. The haircut's really important.
Very important. It's when you take the helmet off, it has to reform into its correct shape immediately.
That's
right.
What I
mean? And you might be like, well, just give him a buzz cut. Well, that's not...
That's not in the comic.
Right? It's a floppy kind of, He's a young man. He's going to the malt shop.
Yep.
He's going to a malt shop sock hop.
That's right. But yeah, I think the idea of putting Joe Johnston behind this, and if you don't know him, he did a lot of special effect and design work on the original Star Wars. For example, he created the look of Boba Fett.
Oh.
Yeah, which is pretty incredible.
He's got a rocket pack.
He's got a rocket pack. He's got a rocket pack, everybody. He also directed Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. He directed Jumanji. He directed a bunch of stuff in between. And then he directed Captain America, the First Avenger.
Absolutely, that's right, yeah.
Which in a lot of ways is just like, fuck it, I'm making the Rocketeer again.
Right.
Nobody saw it, they won't know. But just, I feel like the look of this movie and the casting is just perfect all around. Timothy Dalton as this kind of evil Errol Flynn. Or I guess,
Errol Flynn.
Yeah, Errol
there
Flynn.
we go. Sorry, I jumped on that.
But I just want to say this,
Yes.
minus being a Nazi, even though Errol Flynn did have a real life mate who turns out was a Nazi, but he might not have known because he was a spy.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, terrible person, don't get me wrong. He just might not have been a Nazi.
Terrible
Openly.
Yeah, terrible person, but apparently not terrible enough that we won't still claim him as an Australian.
Yeah. Well, he was in that Robin Hood movie, you know?
Oh, great point.
We'll take it.
But yeah, he's just got this perfect level of charisma, but also slime to
Yep.
him, Timothy Dalton, and
the most sinister hairline you'll see in a movie.
absolutely, and just pulls off that tweedly little
Yeah.
thin mustache like no one else can.
There's a moment where he's in front of the mirror and he's wearing like the Robin Hood-esque wig. Because there's also a moment in this where he's just, it looks like he's just making the movie Robin Hood, like the one from the 30s. And he whips off the Robin Hood wig and then he's just got the hairline and the face. And it's just like, damn, this guy's killing it. I can see why he's James Bond sort of, I think. But a more sinister James Bond, you know?
Yeah.
Like James Bond if he was a sharpened pencil, but he was sharpened too much, you know? That's what he's like.
Yeah.
But, you know, other people turn up like Paul Savino,
Yes.
who of course was also in Dick Tracy.
That's right.
And also there's a guy with a really big face.
Oh my god! Look, I don't have the actor's name here.
I'll bring it
If
up.
You can look it up. But my goodness, just a classic goon.
Yep.
Just a classic monstrous goon that you'll punch in the chest and he just won't feel it. You know, you wouldn't see a big goon bend a guy in half to death in a kids' movie these days. You know what I
Absolutely
mean?
not, yeah.
He does it like twice in this movie.
Absolutely does.
Incredible.
His name is Tiny Ron Taylor.
Wow. His parents probably named him when he was a baby, when he was
Yeah.
quite tiny. So.
Maybe he was tiny and it's all camera trickery, you know?
Maybe.
And that's movies.
You're not wrong. That is
You
movies.
just can't tell. It's movies are just basically just lying. I hope people know that. It's just lies. But I think also like some of the design elements of this, like the jetpack itself, what a beautiful piece of machinery.
Yeah, it had a pretty comprehensive redesign from the one in the comic books where it's
Yeah.
more like just a big bullet.
Yeah.
Like a big squat bullet with a couple of kind of UFO style rings around it. But I think this design works way better.
Completely agree.
Is that because I saw the movie before I read the comic books? Who knows? Maybe there are purists out there who are like, no, bring back I've made an edit where I've put in the original rocket pack in the movie. And by that I mean I've cut it out of the comic book and I've stuck it on my TV and I'm moving around.
And obviously the specific mechanics of it, they don't work. Like even if it is designed like they say it is, where it does not overheat so it will not explode, like it would just burn your bum right up, really.
Yeah. If I had one criticism, yeah, it doesn't have a butt covering plate.
The thing about this thing though is it's so dangerous. Like even within this movie and the world, it's like the worst thing you could fly. Like you couldn't pick a worse thing to just get around on.
That's true.
Even
yeah.
if you know what you're doing.
It's true.
I mean, it looks spectacular.
Yeah, yeah.
I think all the flying in this is, for the most part, there's some, you know, you can see some compositing, you know, going on, but I think they match the speed of the footage they shot with, you know, the Rocketeer himself really well.
Yeah.
I think that works for the most part.
Also in this movie, like great production design, great costumes, just some beautiful death traps of planes out there.
my
You know
God.
the what's it called? The GB?
The first one,
The
who flies,
first one,
yeah.
the yellow one.
It looks
Oh
like
my
a
God.
shoe, Mason.
Right?
It looks more like a boat than a plane. What were they thinking with that? The moment where he crash lands it and they smash the landing gear off.
Yeah.
Now, presumably that's all wired, like it's not a real plane stunt. I don't know.
Looked like one.
Yeah, but just really impressive stuff.
I agree.
I also like in this how the Nazis, who they're after,
Wait, stop there.
okay,
You like how the Nazis?
how they made a little cartoon.
Oh, you know that's undeniably pretty good.
They're like, look, we're going to do some world domination, but we need to sell this. In
We need-
secret.
We need to sell this to the younger demographic, you know?
But, you know, as a piece of, like, propaganda, maybe they sent it over to Timothy Dalton to be like, this will convince him. He's a man of acting. He can appreciate animation, no doubt. He's probably friends with Walt Disney, who maybe was also a Nazi sympathizer, maybe, Mason. Whoa, I hope I'm not saying anything too controversial that I'll get cancelled.
I think you're not saying anything controversial enough.
Well,
ramp it up.
Ramp it
Or
up?
just cut out the bit where you said I thought the Nazis were cool or whatever that was. Oh, now I've said it. Oh, no.
So you've got your Nazis, you've got your FBI, you've got your mob. They're all after it. But just seeing the Italian mob at the end, just Tommy gunning Nazis, nothing wrong with that, Mason.
That's hell yeah.
But it does, I think the moment where it feels most Captain America is the finale where there's a big punch up on an airship.
Oh, my goodness. Yes, please.
You know? Here's a fun fact about that. And I just want to be clear, we're not in trivia yet.
This is different.
This is just a thing that I'm saying. When model maker John Goodsman was building the model Zeppelin that was going to be blown up on camera, he repeatedly told the producers that they should build two. One for them and one for him he could take home.
I'm going to keep it new in box and it's going to retain its value. Sell it on eBay later.
That was in case something went wrong with the first take. Now, the studio refused, saying they didn't have the money in the budget for a second model. But as he predicted, the first take didn't work, so the production had to pay for a second one anyway.
Embarrassing. And then you got to wait. Everybody's got to wait around on set.
That's right.
You know? No places to be.
Exactly.
You're going to be at that weird dog-shaped malt shop sock hop. You know?
Yeah, I remember that one. Oh, man, I can't believe Timothy Dalton crashed into the Hollywood sign, though. That seems like something he would have wanted, maybe.
Oh, that character, like, that's how we would want to go.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I think he probably wanted to go with, like, surrounded by his Nazi peers as the king of the Nazis. I think
they're,
that's
like,
probably
hoisting him up on a chair.
Yeah, I don't think he probably would want to have died, you know, exploding with a faulty rocket pack in his back and then he crashes into the Hollywood sign. I don't think that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll never know.
Yeah.
If you ever interview Timothy Dalton, if you could just ask, what was your character thinking as he was crashing into the Hollywood land sign?
Was it huzzah? Or the German equivalent of huzzah?
Yeah, which is probably the, the salute. Final note that I've got before we will do some trivia is that, oh my God, that's Jan from The Office. She's singing in the lounge.
Is it?
That's Jan from The Office.
Yeah.
She's got a name. Here it is. It's on the screen.
Still says Jan from The Office.
She was in Soul Man. I don't know if you recall.
Oh, the one where...
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
You're seeing it now, this one. If you
don't put it in...
No, it's this one.
Oh.
People need to know. This is history. Not good, but it happened.
Doesn't even look black. He looks great.
He's great.
What happened there?
I don't know.
Who thought that was a good idea?
I don't know.
Maybe it looked black on set.
Maybe it did. Anyways, it's time for the trivia tier.
Ooh.
This is the trivia section of the show, as threatened. So here are some names that were considered for the lead role. Kevin Costner, Matthew Modine, Emilio Estevez, Bill Paxton, Dennis Quaid, Kurt Russell, Michael Keaton, Alec Baldwin. Hold on to that thought for next week. Robin Williams, Mel Gibson, Harrison Ford, Ron Perlman, Michael J. Fox, Tom Hanks, Richard Marx apparently turned it down, he claims.
The singer.
Yep,
Huh.
that's what he said.
Wow.
Yeah.
And to answer your question as to which of those men could look like they could recognize a Walkman, yes, yes, no, 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 yes, no, yes.
Very
no?
good. Yeah. So apparently Johnny Depp, though, was Disney's favorite choice. Which sucks for him, I guess, that he didn't get this, but he did go on, as we know, to play a very big and famous Disney role, the Lone Ranger. Mason.
Oh, no, we don't have to do the Lone Ranger.
No, Mason. We're not doing
though.
There's too many things in that I just don't want to talk about, okay? This is actually James Horner's Disney music debut. James Horner has passed, of course, but you might know his music from Braveheart, Titanic, Avatar. He was a big name. Great score in this.
Yeah.
So in the comic book, Mason, the original inventor of the rocket pack was 30s pulp novel hero Doc Savage, the Man of Bronze. However, because of licensing considerations, probably that movie, Mason, Disney did not seek permission from Condé Nast, the copyright holder of Doc Savage, and opted to substitute him for Howard Hughes, real life
There you go.
guy who went all sorts of crazy. All at once. He did it all. He ran the gamut.
Yeah. I'll design this rocket pack and I won't even have it cover somebody's butt. I'll do anything.
In the original graphic novel, Cliff Secord's girlfriend is named Betty Page, not Jenny Blake. Now, the reason for this is, so Dave Stevens, who created the comic, he based the character Betty Page upon his real-life girlfriend, 1950s pinup girl, Betty Page, but she would not allow her name to be used in the film. So that's why it was changed. But in terms of sequels, Disney at the time were looking for their version of Indiana Jones, right? And they eventually found it in Indiana Jones.
Love that.
And now it's
Love
over.
that for them.
Yeah, now it's over. It's
The era is
finished.
done. Yep, absolutely.
So they were like, let's do a trilogy. But obviously the first one didn't do too well. On a budget of $30 to $40 million in the US alone, it made $46.7 million. It was a bit of a flop, Mason. But of course it has had a bit of a cult following, and that has led to a number of rumors and steps towards a remake or a sequel.
There was going to be one based around the Tuskegee Airmen, is that right?
That's correct, yeah. So first in 2016, there was a movie called The Rocketeers where Cliff Secord goes missing and a second female Rocketeer takes over, and it's about the search for him.
Is that
The Force Awakens? Yes.
Yes, I was going to say. Was the costume going to be exactly the same, except the helmet had a little pink bow on the top to indicate that it was
Absolutely
a girl?
It was, yes.
Ms. Rocketeer?
Yeah. I know people would say The Rocketeer goes woke. What are they doing to The Rocketeer? A movie that famously bombed and nobody has saw.
Yeah, right.
They're ruining the legacy of The Rocketeer. Anyway, that one didn't happen. In August of 2021, though, the title The Return of the Rocketeer was announced. This is when Disney Plus were just like, everybody gets everything, all right? So the plot would have focused on a former Tuskegee Airman who inherits the Rocket Pack uniform, which would potentially star David Oyelowo. Now, J.D. Dillard, who made the movie Devotion, was slated to direct, but he decided to take a breather from that kind of period in aviation because, he spent a lot of time doing that movie that nobody saw.
Also, James, did you know that on Disney Plus there is 22 episodes of what looks to be a 3D animated series
from 2019,
sort of Paw Patrol style, just called The Rocketeer.
Yep, this series was for kids. Obviously.
Yes.
Billy Campbell actually returns to voice Cliff Secord.
Oh.
And it's his son Kit who takes on the mantle of Little Rocketeer.
There you go.
But he's also just called the Rocketeer.
Where's his wife? What happened to her? She in?
She died.
Oh, man.
She crashed into the Hollywood side.
No.
Yeah. She liked the Nazi guy.
Oh, no.
That was the twist, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. There's a prequel comic.
Wow.
Yeah.
My goodness. Is it called the Cock Blocketeer? Is that what it is?
That's what it's called.
I need to let you know, James, that was the first note I wrote for this movie, having not rewatched the movie yet, and I just needed to find a way to shoehorn it in there.
It's the perfect time.
Yeah. I was thinking there's a scene in the
they're in the restaurant.
They're in the restaurant, and then one of the guys is like, "Oh, Cliff, you crashed your plane, blah blah blah," and then Jenny gets real mad at him, and I'm like, "Oh, that guy's the Cock Blocketeer."
Yeah,
that would be it.
I was talking about a different scene in the restaurant where he's coming over and he's the waiter, and he's like, "I'm spilling stuff."
Oh, perfect.
I'm the Cock Blocketeer.
Then he would also be the Cock Blocketeer. I love this for us.
Yes!
Yes, we both did one, and that's important.
Anyways, come back next week because we're going to be talking about Alec Baldwin's The Shadow. You know it when you see it,
I remember being quite entertained by it.
You might just be remembering the knife, the cranky little knife.
Cranky little knife. It's like, I'm going to get you.
But if you do want to see that early, you can.
That's right.
It's optional, but if you head to bigsandwich.co, these videos always go up there early. But it's not the only thing there. We do movie commentaries. Famously, recently we did The Flash. We talked about The Flash. My God. Talk about movies,
Oh,
Talk about movies.
Oh, yeah.
We do bonus podcasts. We do movie commentaries. Our podcast, The Weekly Planet, where we talk movies and comics and TV shows, that comes out there a day early on Sunday as opposed to Monday if you do want to check it out.
That's right.
But you don't have to do any of that. Just thank you for watching this.
Final thoughts? You love it? You hate it?
I liked it.
I liked it too.
It's a throwback because it was made in like the 90s.
Yeah.
But it's also a throwback from the era. It's a double throwback.
It's a double throwback, and some of it was a little clunky, you're right. Some of the effects don't really hold up anymore, but I think overall characters were good.
Brisk.
Brisk action was solid. It is very brisk. It's that just wonderful time where you could just punch a Fed and he would punch you back, and it's no big deal. You know?
That's right.
Just a great era. I wish I could go back to it. Wonderful.
That's it. All right. Thanks everybody for watching.
Oh, also it was better than Dick Tracy because stuff actually happened.
Oh my God, 100% it was better than Dick Tracy. Yeah.
Not a joke, just facts.
Yeah, that's true. I was going to say I don't like it, but it's true, and I do like it actually. Anyways, thanks to Ben and Lawrence for the edit. We'll see you on the next one.
Grab that jam, you guys. We'll see you real soon.